For the first time on this podcast, I am doing an NFL mock draft. It is mock draft season, so I must get mine out, right? This is going to be a post free agency, post combine mock draft. Now, I'm basing this off team needs, what said prospect did in the combine, and also what the team did in free agency, right? Now, I will say right now, I'm not doing any trades. No trades whatsoever. I have PFF up right now. I don't have the subscription, so we're just going off picks 1 through 32 straight like that. Right now, of course, mock draft 2 and 3, I may add some trades, but as for the first one, no trades whatsoever. Now, if you're listening to this on YouTube, thank you for tapping in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also like this video and comment down below your thoughts on a mock draft and what would you do as that pick. And also, if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for tapping in. Make sure you follow the show. Now, before I get in, I just spent like 15 minutes recording this podcast previously, and I made the wrong pick at number 2, right? I looked up, I said, why is this player not on the board? Because I made the pick at number 2. I was so frustrated. So I'm starting back over. So I was giving a great synopsis on why I made said pick. I don't really want to repeat myself, but I might have to. It is what it is, right? But anyways, let's get right into this mock draft. 1.0 for the YouTube listeners, and also I might post this on TikTok, so it'll be like a 3.0 over there. But regardless, though, mock draft, post free agency, post NFL combine. Let's tap in. Now, at pick 1, the Titans are on the board. They have a need for quarterback play, right? I thought that Brian Callahan at moments last year was doing enough offensively, but he was hindered by his terrible quarterback play and Will Levis, of course. And also, Mason Rudolph was a backup, right? You can only get so much out of Mason Rudolph. I thought Tony Pollard played relatively well, and the skill players need to be upgraded, but I think with better quarterback play, you will see a better offense. Also, this offensive line did improve, bringing in Dan Moore. Dan Moore may be a bit overrated, but I think in a new scheme with better quarterback play, he'll play better. You have J.C. Latham, who was solid last year. Peter Skoronski was coming into his own. And also, you have Lloyd Cushenberry, I think, at center. They have a solid foundation up front for a new franchise quarterback to come into, and they have a defense to rely on as well when they're healthy, right? The Titans defense was top 3 in opposing passing yards allowed and also number 1 in passing yards allowed in total. He struggled at stopping the run, but regardless, though, I think it was more so because of them being on the field all game because their offense was terrible. But at pick 1, Cam Ward is a choice in my opinion, right? I think he can deliver what this franchise needed to quarterback level, right? I thought he was phenomenal last year at Miami. I think he was the best quarterback in college football last year. He has an amazing track record of quarterback play. He has seen many different variations of offenses in college football. I think he'll be a sure pick in my opinion. He's also has the most upside amongst all quarterbacks in this year's draft class as well. Now, pick 2. The Browns are doing some very interesting things right now, right? They have a lot of interesting choices as well. Do they go Travis Hunter? Do they go Shedeur Sanders? Or will they go Abdul Carter? Now, in my opinion, the Browns have a need for quarterback play, right? Deshaun Watson, he has that Achilles situation, and you want to get off that contract as soon as possible, more than likely next year or the following season, right? I would say next year just to eat the dead cap. Dead cap. I'm sorry, dead cap, not dead cat, dead cap. They brought in Kenny Pickett via trade this offseason, but he's not going to be your starter, in my opinion. And also, they're having a draft rally, a pep rally, draft rally. I think you'll do that for a series pickup. And also, as for Myles Garrett, he had his press conference. He was pretty much saying that he has a great feeling of who's being picked at number 2. And it was a huge reason outside of the money, of course, on why he was, retained or wanted to come back as a Cleveland Brown. I think the pick is going to be a quarterback, and I have them selecting quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Now, in my opinion, I think Shedeur Sanders is a very safe pick. He may not have the highest floor amongst quarterbacks in this year's draft, second highest floor more than likely because it's a weak class, but he does provide that safety net, right? I think he's a pro's pro. He's been in quite a few offenses as well, and also he understands how to make things better with a bad offensive line. And this Browns offensive line is not that good, right? Of course, they say Shedeur holds on to the ball too long, but he's always making big-time throws, hanging in the pocket, and making big-time plays. And I think this is a quarterback, a team like the Browns, especially their defense, can get behind on. And obviously, I think they can be very special in years to come. So I have the Cleveland Browns going quarterback again for the first-round draft pick, but this time they bring in perfect timing, who, in my opinion, is a great fit for Kevin Stefanski's offense. Now for pick 3, the New York Giants. It gets really interesting right here because the Giants have a great choice of picks, right? Do they go Travis Hunter, cornerback, wide receiver, athlete, something we've never seen before at this level of football, right? At a consistent rate. Heisman Trophy winner, phenomenal college player for Colorado. Abdul Carter, elite edge rusher, in my opinion, right? Came on very strong with Penn State this past year, first time playing edge, and he dominated, right? And also you have Mason Graham, who was pretty much dominated since he stepped foot in Michigan. I think at pick 3, of course, these 3 players can both play defense, right? So I think they're going defense at pick 3 regardless. But at pick 3, they don't need a wide receiver 2, in my opinion. I think Malik Nabers is the certified wide receiver 1 out in New York, and I think he should be that why they drafted 2 in the later rounds. And I also brought back Darius Slayton in free agency. Now, they don't have a need for cornerback either, right? They brought in Paulson Adebo. You have Deonte Banks. You also have Andrew Phillips last year, who was really good before he suffered those injuries. And they brought in Javon Holland to play safety alongside the name slipped my mind, a young kid they drafted last year. It slipped my mind. It may come back to me. But regardless, though, they have a very talented and young cornerback, secondary on paper. But they have some needs up front, right? I think they can go for a defensive lineman, interior guy, Mason Graham to pair alongside Dexter Lawrence. That'll be amazing. But also edge rusher. Do they believe that Joe Schoen will extend Kayvon Thibodeaux on a contract? Probably not, right? I don't think his play deserves a second contract as of right now. And you have Brian Burns, who is solidified as your starting opposite edge of Kayvon Thibodeaux. But I think Abdul Carter can come in and be a difference maker, right, to this defense and improve it even better. And I think he can take over a starting role by probably week 4. So I have Abdul Carter at pick 3, and I think that'll be a great pickup for Joe Schoen. A lot of fans may not like it, but I think it will be beneficial this time next year, where he may be the defensive rookie of the year. As for number 4, pick 4, the New England Patriots. Now, they are in a very interesting spot as well. I think they're going to go offense with this pick, right? They have a need for playmaker, a desperate need for playmaker, right? They did nothing in the offseason to add to their playmaking room outside of Matt Collins, who's going to be their veteran wide receiver 3 or 4. But they have an even increasing need for tackle play. They currently have no left tackle on their depth chart. No legitimate left tackle, right? They have some backups, but no. They don't have a legitimate left tackle. They have Morgan Moses, the right tackle. They brought in their new center for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm forgetting his name right now. He was cut, but they brought him in. They also have their guard they drafted a few years ago being retained. I forgot his name as well. Forgive me. But nevertheless, though, the Patriots have a need for tackle play, receiver play, tackle play. Which way will Mike Vrabel and his staff lean? I'm personally believing they lean more towards tackle. You have to be able to protect the franchise quarterback. And also, it's a very tough AFC that is filled with a plethora of great defensive ends and elite pass rushers. I think you bring in someone like Will Campbell. I don't care about the arm size. He was a freshman All-American, sophomore All-American, unanimous, all that and more, man. He's a bona fide cornerstone franchise tackle, and I think he'll do really well with the Patriots in being that blindside protection for a Drake May. Anyways, pick 5. Now, it's Jaguars fan, you may say, man, this is a bit biased of you, right? You pretty much manipulated the draft board to how things work out in favor for your Jaguars to choose Travis Hunter. Now, maybe a little bit of truth to that, but those picks could go either way, right? I don't know how these NFL teams value, the top 4 guys, right? The Giants may value Abdul Carter more than Travis Hunter. The Patriots may love Travis Hunter, but they may not be able to draft him because the tackle they may want may not be available in the second round. They can't take a gamble on not grabbing that protection for Drake May, right? It could be a potential Travis Hunter or a Jamar Chase Penei Sewell situation where the Bengals passed up on Penei Sewell, the Lions got him, so on and so forth, right? I doubt it, but you never know, right? But anyways, at pick 5, the Jaguars have a need for cornerback play, right? They have a need for wide receiver 2 as well, but especially cornerback. Now, it depends on how the Jaguars view Travis Hunter? Will it be an outside boundary corner? I think he can. I think he can play either slot or outside, right? He has the size to, and I think he can definitely step in and be that wide receiver 2 or a 1B to a BTJ who's a wide receiver 1 or a 1A. I have Travis Hunter going to the Jaguars, right? Now, it may take some, oh my goodness, how did Travis Hunter end up being here at pick 5 of all places? But I think it can happen because the other teams may prioritize position value over Travis Hunter. And I think the Jaguars, even though they have a need for interior defensive line help, but it's a deep D tackle class, not so much a cornerback class, and honestly, not so much a receiver class either, right? So I think they grab the best prospect on the board at pick 5, and they select Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Now at pick number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders have a lot of needs, right? They have a need for running back, wide receiver, defensive line, and cornerback. Now, I previously in years past had Will Johnson at pick 6 or pick 5, but he is falling down draft boards, unfortunately, because of his health and top end speed concerns. So he will not be the pick here at pick 6. Now, you could see someone like Mason Graham go right here, but, you know, it's very hard to predict where someone like Mason Graham could end up with the Raiders, right? Do they go D-tackle at pick 6? Potentially, but they have a need for edge rusher. A huge need for edge rusher, in my opinion. And someone who can play off the ball and also on the line of scrimmage who's been getting a lot of draft buzzes of late has been Jalon Walker. Pete Carroll could lean Ashton Jeanty. He could shock the world and go Tetairoa McMillan right here. And he could go Mason Graham. But my personal belief, I think they choose Jalen Walker out of Georgia, the linebacker, edge rusher that can play off ball and also line up as an edge rusher as well to get after the quarterback. And he was fantastic at Georgia, right? He's a specimen. I think he's going to look up 10 years from now. You're going to say, like, damn, Jalen Walker had a phenomenal career, and playing alongside Matt Crosby to strengthen up the defense would be very ideal, right? So I think at pick 6, the Raiders go Jalen Walker. Now, at pick 7, I think this is where Mason Graham comes off the board, right? Aaron Glenn steps in, and of course, he's inheriting a really great or good to great Jets defense, but you can shore up this interior, right? You lost Javon Kinlaw, right? You don't have anybody next to Quentin Williams. I think beefing up their interior and having a front a front 7 led by Quentin Williams and Mason Graham will be some great football for Aaron Glenn's defense to withhold, right? Especially with the secondary help they have in the back end. Now at pick number 8, the Panthers are kind of in no man's land right now, right? They have needs for wide receiver, edge rusher, and DB. However, I could see a world where the Panthers say, hey, we need a receiver, right? I think a lot of people out there are overthinking Tetairoa McMillan. I really do. And we've seen someone like Dave Canales have bigger receivers like a Tetairoa McMillan, a specimen of DK Metcalf, of course, doesn't have the top end speed like DK, but he's also worked with the guy that was a bit slower, but an elite route runner in Mike Evans. Now, is T Mac an elite route runner? No. I think he's a good to great one. He has solid speed. He posted a 4.5, a 4.48 at his pro day. It got knocked down to a 4.5. It's been a very long time since a receiver has ran a 4.5 and drafted top 10. I may come back to this later and change my opinion on it, but I think at number 8, the Carolina Panthers go to Tetairoa McMillan, and he provides to be that wide receiver 1 for Bryce Young to lean on. Of course, you have the development of Xavier Legette, but regardless, I think the Panthers go T-Mac at pick number 8. Now, at pick number 9, the New Orleans Saints are on the board, and there's a lot of great players to choose from, right? You have Ashton Jeanty, Jahdae Barron, Tyler Warren, Malachi Starks, Jahad Campbell, right? I'm looking at Jahad Campbell right here. I think he's honestly the best backer in this year's class. Pure linebacker, by the way. I loved watching this game at Alabama. He was a Swiss Army knife, right? He can line up as the linebacker position. He can kind of guard in the slot here and there. He was really solid in pass coverage. He's one of the most complete linebackers we've seen enter this draft class in quite some time, right? And I can't think of the last linebacker to go top 10. I think it may have been Roquan Smith. We've seen a Quay Walker in the past, but this guy is way better than Quay Walker as a prospect. I think at pick number 9, even though he is coming off a labrum injury, a labrum surgery, and I do believe, someone like Jahad Campbell can be that replacement for Demario Davis in years to come. So I have the New Orleans Saints selecting Jahad Campbell at pick number 9. Now, at pick number 10, the Chicago Bears could really make things very interesting right here. I think they have 2 big needs at this spot. Running back, interior defensive line, and secondary help, right? More so in the safety, as you can see on PFF. But I do believe they have a need for safety play with someone like Kevin Byard getting a bit older, and Jaquan Brisker, who is a promising safety, but he missed a lot of time last year with a concussion, and they kept him out for the remainder of the year because the Bears aren't playing for anything significant, right? Now, you could see Malachi Starks right here, or Nick Emanrory, but I think that's a bit too high for those guys. Ashton Jeanty is still on the board. It makes plenty of sense in my opinion. You could go Kenneth Grant or someone like Walter Nolan, right? I think it's a bit tough to select a 3 tech at top 10. Walter Nolan can definitely come in there and pair up alongside Gervon Dexter and really make that defensive line out there better. But you also have Grady Jarrett already. So you have Grady Jarrett, Dexter Lawrence, Montez Sweat. They could go edge rusher right here. They need an opposite side edge. Mike Green, Donovan, Ezeroko. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing his name wrong. And also James Pierce. But I think Ben Johnson grabs his final piece to a revamped offense, right? You revamp the offensive line, and you could go tackle at this pick. You very much well could. But I think at pick number 10, they grab Ashton Jeanty. It may be a bit of a risk, but if he can come out there and be a Bijan Robinson for this team, which I think he definitely can, or be a Jahmyr Gibbs for this team, production-wise, I think it'll make a lot of sense. And, of course, we all know Ben Johnson loves to have the 2-back system. You can have Ashton as your guy and DeAndre Swift as your a spell back as well. So I think it'll be a great pickup for the Bears. And I'm sticking to that pick. I've had that in my original mock draft, too, and I'm sticking with it. At pick 11, the Niners on the board, and they have a need for cornerback play. They lost Javarius Ward. Lenore is your CB1 right now, but you got to grab that CB2. You could go left tackle right here. You did lose some pieces up front with the offensive line. I think I might go tackle right here because you do have Erman Mimbu on the board still. And I think he'll be an awesome pickup for this team, right? They have a need for tackle. So I'm gonna go. He's still on the board, man. You can't pass up on BPA, right? I mean, Jahdae Barron, Jahdae Barron, in my opinion, projects more so as a nickel corner, and I'm not sure if he can be a primary outside guy. And he's a bit smaller, so I think he's like around like 5'10", 5'11". I mean, you have your outside corners like Jair Alexander that is that size, but top 11 selection probably not. So I think Armand Mimbu tackle out of Missouri, ends up being the pick here at number 11. Moving on to the Cowboys, Dallas Cowboys on the board. Ashton Jeanty's no longer there, and of course, a lot of mock drafts had the Cowboys grabbing Jeanty. They could go edge rusher right here. You did lose DeMarcus Lawrence, Shamar Stewart, a guy that's been getting a lot of draft buzz as of late, climbing up those draft boards. Hell of a combine as well. Could be a risk right here. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Jerry Jones makes that pull to play opposite side of Micah Parsons. He can be that run stopper that you need while continuing to see Micah Parsons rush the passer. I think Shamar Stewart makes a lot of sense. He could also fall to the second round, right? I'm leaning more towards receiver help, right? This offense needs a receiver badly. And you got to go with the safe pick. Safe pick. Matthew Golden is a specimen, but safe pick right here is Luther Burden, in my opinion. Luther Burden III out of Missouri. I think he ends up being a Dallas Cowboy as of right now. And I believe he'll be a great pairing along someone like CeeDee Lamb. So that'll be a great pickup for Dak Prescott in that offense. Moving on to pick 13, the Miami Dolphins are on the board. Safety. You lost Javon Holland. You gotta find somebody in that back end. You could go Jahdae Barron not the selection, right? You did lose or you did cut uh Kyle Fuller in free agency before free agency even began. He's still a free agent right now, if I'm not mistaken. But I think safety is more ideal right now. You still have Ramsey manning that opposite side. So I think right here at pick 13, Malachi Starks, one of the most, I would say, safest picks in this year's draft, alongside a few others, is the pick here at 13. Colts, they're on the board. I've been seeing a lot of Tyler Warren mocks right here. I'm sticking to it. They have a need for tight end play. They have a need for receiver play as well. And I think Tyler Warren can step in and be that optional one offensively in the receiving department. The Atlanta Falcons are on the board. Receiver, don't need a receiver. I think Drake London and Darnell Mooney showed y'all a lot last year, right? And I think, of course, you definitely could grab a receiver in the later rounds. You brought in the edge rusher Leonard Floyd, so you may not prioritize edge rusher. You also brought in one in Morgan Fox. They need an edge rusher for sure still, but you have someone like Will Johnson on the board, man. He is falling. And I don't think he should be falling this low. I think if Raheem Morris can bring in Will Johnson to play opposite side of AJ Terrell, it would help out this defense so much, right? You have Jesse Bates in the back end. You have AJ Terrell on one island. If you can bring in Will Johnson, I think that'd be perfect for Raheem Morris' defense. And also, who knows, the pass rush may improve. Now, of course, you have Mike Green. You have Mike Green right here. You really do, man. You have Mike Green. I'm leaning towards Mike Green or James Pierce Jr., but, man, it's hard to pass up on Will Johnson. So I'm going Will Johnson at pick 15. Now at pick 16, you have the Arizona Cardinals on the board, and they have a need for interior help, right? They brought in Josh Sweat in the offseason. So I don't believe that they're going edge rusher with this pick anymore. Looking at the D tackles, I think it's still a bit high to grab a 3-tech at pick 16. So I think Walter Nolan will be the pick right here, right? You come in, you play alongside Josh Sweat and also the pick last year, Robinson from Missouri, the beef up the defensive line, and Jonathan Gannon definitely has something to work with. They could go corner right here, but I think it's tough to pass up on Walter Nolan. So I'm going Walter Nolan at pick 16. Now, at pick 17, you have the Cincinnati Bengals on the board. They have a need for cornerback play. Their secondary was terrible last year, right? And you did bring in some solid interior help with BJ Hill coming back. You also had Chris Jenkins. You want to see some development out of him. You're trying to work back in Trey Hendrickson. I would like Mike Green right here, just be on the safe side, or Donovan Azaroko, or James Pierce Jr. I think I might lean one of these three, right? Now, when it comes down to James Pierce Jr., I think he's a solidified DPR, right? He's like a Hassan Reddick, in my opinion, right? Not in comparisons, but their role, right? You're a designated pass rusher who doesn't excel at stopping the run. I think Trey Henderson's a designated pass rusher as well. He's pretty solid on the run, but I think someone like Mike Green will be a great pickup right here. Get after the quarterback for sure. Has 17 sacks this past year, and I think he's a solid run stopper as well. So I think Mike Green will be a great pick right here. I have him going to the Bengals at pick 17. Now, the Seahawks on the board may be a bit of a risk, maybe a bit of a reach, but you need some wide receiver help, man. Sam Darnold needs some more wide receiver help to pair alongside. Actually, I'm sorry. No, they brought in Cooper Kupp. So Cooper Kupp may not be a priority right now. I'm sorry about that. I forgot. So you have edge. I mean, you have OA or Adolphe. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Number 10 on the Seahawks. I don't have the names in front of me. You brought in Byron Murphy last year. Great pickup out of Texas, right? The plug in your interior. But you do have some edge rushing needs outside of Bofe, right? This is tricky. This is tricky right here. This is tricky. Why not, man? You do need some guard help, but I'm not sure if Tyler Booker's worth a selection right here. So I would say, but you could go to the kid out of North Dakota State who's been rising right now, Gray Zabel, right? I think he's been projected as a guard in the league, and that'd be a great pick right here. Great pick, right? Great pick. Man, that'd be an awesome pick, especially with the value. Could go tight ends right here at the Colston Loveland out of Michigan. But I think right here, you go pass rusher and you bring in James Pierce Jr. Moving on to Tampa Bay, they have a need for edge, linebacker, and DB. I think this is where you may see someone like Jahdae Barron come off the board. They have a solid corner, a rookie they had last year. They drafted in the second or third round, right? I'm forgetting his name, but I know he was pretty productive. You lost Jamel Dean as well in free agency, or you cut him in the offseason, right? So I think you go out there and grab someone like Jahdae Barron to be your starting nickel or outside corner. Now, the Broncos on the board, and man, they have a need for wide receiver. They have a huge need for wide receiver. Now, it all depends on what receiver they feel as if fits their scheme better. You have Emeka Egbuka. You have Matthew Golden. You also have a tight end on Loveland, on Colston Loveland, right? You could go running back, Amarian Hampton. But I do believe with this pick, you grab somebody that can be that safety blanket for Bo Nix. For some odd reason, he fell out of Daniel Jeremiah's first round mock, but I won't have him fall out of mine, man. I have the Denver Broncos selecting Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of The Ohio State University. I think it'd be an awesome slot to be in this Broncos offense. And it's something they need, man. They need a playmaker. And you still have Courtland Sutton on the outside. You have Marvin Mims, right? But I think Emeka Egbuka can definitely be a great pickup. He's also one of the safest picks in this year's draft class as well. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the board. And I may copy DJ on this right here, right? He had Jackson Dart going here. And I think it'll be a smart pick, especially for a team that has no quarterback still. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing. He's playing musical chairs right now. And he may not be a Steeler. He may want to wait after the draft, which I don't think is ideal. So you have to go out here and grab somebody, right? You don't want to be quarterbackless and have to rely on Mason Rudolph to be your QB1. I don't think that's ideal, man. And I think they did a good job in bringing in a receiver. They have a need for corner as well, but you can find a cornerback in round 2. Trey Amos is intriguing, very intriguing, but maybe a bit high for him right now. I think they go at pick 21. I think Jackson Dart ends up being the selection that's their quarterback to go in the first round. Now, the Chargers are up next. Now, they have a need for wide receiver, right? They have a need for tight end. They did nothing, in my opinion, to bolster their roster offensively for someone like Justin Herbert to rely on. Matthew Golden is a great spot for him, in my opinion. Great value, amazing value, because he's going number 1 in a lot of mock. Well, he's going wide receiver 1 in a lot of mocks out there. But if you can grab Matthew Golden to pair it with Ladd McConkey, it's a great tandem, in my opinion. You have ability in the slot, and also you have outside ability with his breakaway speed. I like Matthew Golden here at pick 22. The Packers are next on the board. They got to go corner. They brought in Nate Hobbs, but I think he's best suited as a nickel. You still have John Alexander as of right now, but you lost your opposite side corner in Eric Stokes, who was fighting for playing time last year at times because of his inability to stay consistent on the field. So I think Trey Amos is the pick right here at pick 23. Now, of course, they could go edge rusher. You haven't got really anything good out of Van Ness. Rashawn Gary has still yet to break double-digit sacks in his career so far in a season. But I think Trey Amos is a great pick right here. They have a need for cornerback help, and he can step in and be a day 1 starter. At 24, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, right? The Vikings are on the clock, and they have a need for interior defensive line help. No, I'm sorry. No, they don't. I'm lying about that. Forgive me. I forgot they went crazy in free agency. They brought in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. So they're not doing anything with their front in the first 2 rounds, at least in my opinion, because there's so much money invested into that room. I think corner is a very likely spot right here, right? They have a need for opposite side corner. Stephon Gilmore's no longer there, and Shaq Griffin's no longer there either. Cornerback right here, Maxwell Hairston. I think he'll be a great fit in Brian Flores' scheme. I like Ezra Thomas too, and I like Benjamin Morrison, right? A guy that thrives really well in man coverage and also zone. Ezra's very sneaky, very sneaky. I may go Ezra Thomas, man. He's been flying up the boards. We all know the last time the Vikings chose a FSU corner high in the draft, Xavier Rhodes closed. So I think I'm gonna go Ezra Thomas right here, man. He's been in the mid-20s as of right now. And I think Ezra Thomas would be a great pick. They're not going running back. They brought in uh 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 the kid out of the 49ers, the running back, Jordan Mason. You also have Aaron Jones back on the contract. I think Ezra Thomas would be a great pickup right here, man. Great size for a cornerback. He definitely can be opposite side of Byron Murphy the third. I'm sorry, Byron Murphy Jr. Right here, no brainer for the Texans. They got to go tackle. Kelvin Banks Jr. still up here. You could go Gray Zabel as well, but Kelvin Banks Jr. is such a certified pick, in my opinion. He was arguably the best tackle in this year's class. He's falling for some odd reason. He'll be a great pick and right in the Houston Texans backyard. Pick 26. It's time to improve this offensive line even more in LA, right? You brought back the old man Matthew Stafford. You brought in Devontae Adams. You have Cooper Kupp. This team still wants to pass, in my opinion. Go ahead and put Gray Zabel out there, man. Let him play guard or tackle. Beef up this front offensive line protection. They could go tight end right here, but I think Gray Zabel is too damn good to pass up on. So I have Gray Zabel going right here at pick 26. Maybe a bit too low for him, honestly, right? The Ravens, they're on the clock. Now, in a lot of mocks out there, you see tackle, you see defensive line. I think they go defensive line right here. Michael Pierce just retired. You have Justin Matabuke still. Who pairs up great alongside Justin? Justin can play a little bit of 3-tech and also line up as a strong side defensive end or play, not so heavy on the interior defensive line. I think Derek Harmon and Kenneth Grant would be great pickups right here. I'm leaning Kenneth Grant, right? I think he's a spectacular D-tackle. I think he can be a top 5 D-tackle in his league very soon. He's a true nose tackle, so he's not going to rush the quarterback much. He's going to create pressures, generate opportunities for others to get involved, and also be a run stopper, right? Be a solidified run stopper, run stuffer, however you want to say it. I think Kenneth Grant would be a great pickup, great value at pick 27. I have Kenneth Grant going to the Baltimore Ravens. The Lions at pick 28. This is where you have your edge rusher help, right? Aiden Hutchinson is coming off that bad injury. I think he should be 100%, but where did they go right here, right? Where do the Lions go? I think they go either linebacker or edge right here, and I think the pickup will be an edge rusher. Now, you have a lot to choose from. Donovan out of Boston College, Michael Williams, I'm not believing the hype up on him, Shamar Stewart, Nick Scorton, or even someone like Jack Sawyer, right? He's the guy that's been rising and falling. Even someone like Josiah Stewart and Kyle Kennard, right? Josiah Stewart's out of Michigan and Kyle Kennard's out of South Carolina, right? Those guys have been rising really rapidly. Very rapid, in these mock drafts. But I think Donovan as the rookie will be a great picker right here. I think it'll be a great edge opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, and it'll definitely be something this defense can rely on while continue to generate pressures massively with Aiden, but also you'll get that from Donovan's side as well. So that'll be a great pickup for the Detroit Lions. Now, the Commanders on the board. They addressed tackle and wide receiver in this year's offseason, right, via trades. I'm not sure if they go either of those positions right here. They could go running back, right? But it's a very deep running back class. So I'm willing to think that, they could go. They could go Omarion Hampton right here, man. That would be a great pickup, right? He fits Cliff Kingsbury's scheme like a glove. But I'm looking at the corners, man. They have a need for cornerback. You have Benjamin Morrison. You have Chevelle Ravel, who's coming off an ACL injury, and you have Maxwell Hairston. I have Maxwell Hairston at the pick right here, right? Sticky corner, fits the aggressive style defense that Dan Quinn wants to play. I think he'll be a great CB2 opposite side of Marshall Lattimore, who they traded for last year. The Bills are up next. They have a need for cornerback play as well. They didn't bring back Rizzo Douglas. They traded away Kyer Elam. All they have is Christian Benford out there, right? They have a need for safety play as well. This is where you may see Nick Emenwari come off the board. Why not? Right? Why not have Nick Emenwari right here? He can cover a lot of ground, and also you can play him as a big nickel as well. They have a need for interior or edge help, but they brought in Joey Bosa, so I doubt that. You still have Gregory Rousseau, who just got a contract extension. You also have AJ Epinenza. So I think Nick Emmanwori would be a great pick right here. He may have fallen a bit in my mock draft, but I think his tape is not as good as what the combine showed, but he was a combine warrior, and you can't teach what he brings to the table, right? The size at 6'3", right? The weight at 227, right? Probably plays at around like 230, give or take. And he has massive speed and athleticism. So I think this would be a great pickup for Sean McDermott's defense. Now, the Chiefs are here. They have a need for tackle. They brought in some solid ones in free agency, so they may pass up on these. They have a need for guard, right? You lost Joe Thuney, I'm sorry. Could you see Tyler Booker go right here? Probably not, right? This department has a really good eye for scouting guard and corner. And nor do I think they go corner right here. I think you go D tackle, right? You could go safety, but I don't think Xavier Watts is a first-round talent as of right now. You could go Colston Loveland. Great Travis Kelce replacement, right? You got to find the replacement. Let's have fun. This is mock draft 1, right? Let's go Colston Loveland. A lot of fans may not like it, but this is another weapon on our offense for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to work around. And also he can be that, I wouldn't say seamless transition, but you feel really confident in Colston Loveland being your next tight end to take over once Travis Kelce leaves. And of course, Patrick Mahomes not even 30 years old yet, so they can go together and they can definitely have some fun times. I love Omarion Hampton right here as well. I really do, man. I really love Omarion Hampton. But I'm gonna go Colston Loveland right here at pick 31. Damn, I love Omarion Hampton right here, man. They have a need for running back, but it's a deep class, very deep class. All right, pick 32 to round this whole thing out, this whole entire draft. Now, surprisingly enough, the Eagles have some needs, right? They made some moves in free agency. They have a need for safety. Don't believe they go one in the first round. They have a need for opposite side corner, Quinyon Mitchell. Do you put Cooper DeJean on the outside? Probably not, because he did a phenomenal job as a nickel. There's some good ones on the board, but are they risking a first round pick? Don't know, right? You can go out there and get a Derek Harmon. You lost Milton Williams. You could get a Michael Williams. You could get a Shamar Stewart. I think you bring in someone like either Derek Harmon or Shamar Stewart. I think Derek Harmon is a rising D tackle in this year's class as well. He can be an effective 3 technique. There's a lot of things on your front, right? Quickness, all that and more. Great player. But this is a first round, right? We all know how Howie Roseman gets down. He wants to go after those guys that test it really well and he can mold into being something special. Shamar Stewart is a guy that may even be a top 10 pick in the grand scheme, but I have him going pick 32. An excellent, one of the best, if not the best, run stopper in all of college football last year. Doesn't have the sacks, but when you have Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, you'll be able to generate pressure, especially when you have a talented secondary, and also the scheming of Vic Fangio. And I'm quite sure Vic Fangio has watched Shamar Stewart play in person, maybe up close in person, especially during his time in Miami when the Canes faced Texas A&M last year when Shamar Stewart was a part of that team, or the year before last. And Shamar definitely wreaked havoc that game. So I have Shamar Stewart going pick 32, the final pick in the first round of the draft. So that's it. As you can see, man, this is my entire mock draft 1.0, right? I'll call it that for now, given the fact that, this is post-combine, post-free agency. We haven't seen a lot of interviews get casted yet. Pro days have to take shape and as well. Individual workouts will happen as well. So we'll see if this changes. I'm pretty sure it will. May have some risers or some fallers. But I like what I did so far in the first round. I'm just going to go over my top 10 picks. And then after that, got to tap in with the podcast to know what I did for the remainder, right? But at pick 10, I have Cam Ward to the Titans. Pick number 1, I have Cam Ward to the Titans. 3, 2. Three, 2, 1. So at pick number 1, I have the Titans selecting Cam Ward. At pick number 2, I have the Cleveland Browns selecting Shedeur Sanders. At pick number 3, I have the New York Giants selecting Abdul Carter. At pick 4, I have the New England Patriots selecting Will Campbell. At pick 5, I have the Jaguars selecting Travis Hunter. At pick 6, I have the Raiders selecting Jalen Walker. At number 7, I have the New York Jets selecting Mason Graham. At number 8, I have Tetsuo McMillan to the Panthers. At number 9, I have Jahad Campbell to the Saints. And at number 10, I have Ashton Jeanty to the Chicago Bears. Now, thank y'all so much for tapping in. If you like this mock draft, if you want to see more of this, please comment down below. Make sure you please sub to the channel. And make sure you please follow the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But until next time, man, thank y'all so much for tapping in. That is a wrap.